Hello everyone, it's Seeking Jess and I hope you're doing amazing. I'm super excited that you're joining me today on this video and that you're watching it. It means a lot to me really, and every time someone clicks or you click on my video, it really helps me, and it motivates me to continue doing what I'm doing, so thank you for that. So last week I posted a video where I talked about how it is to feel like a failure sometimes, and I think that every one of us goes through it once in a while. I've watched a video this morning by someone that I'm very inspired by, and that person was talking about the fact that loving yourself is the #1 key in order to be successful, because loving yourself takes time, it's a process, and sometimes we very much underestimate the impact it can have on us. I mean, let's imagine that, you want to have an amazing life, you want to have a fulfilling life and do something that has a purpose. How can you do that without actually knowing yourself, without knowing what you love, without knowing where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are? It will be almost impossible to really get to the core of life and get to something that you love doing. I feel like so many of us are rushing through life, are rushing to be someone they think they are rushing to have an amazing job, because that's how we live, how our world is happening. We live in such a fast pace that sometimes it's so hard to keep up, and I think that's one point that I always talk about. It's so hard to keep up, that so many of us fall into this dark space sometimes. And I've been there and I am there sometimes as well. And I ask myself, what am I actually doing with my life? Where am I? I have no clue what's happening. And I didn't allow myself ever some downtime. I never allowed myself to breathe and be like, hey, who am I? Because when I gave myself some time to think, I started being very scared, because I started realizing that maybe I'm not there yet. And I feel like with each of the thought that I had, I got myself into a darker hole. I started comparing myself to others because I saw people my age being much more successful than I am. And I questioned a lot of things. But with time, I also realized that a lot of things are controlled by one thing, and it's money. If you have money on this planet, you are someone and you can do a lot of things that most of the people on this planet cannot do. Because if you have money, you're one of the wealthiest people that exist, right? Our society defines poor as not having money, right? But with time I realized poor is much more than that. For me, poor is someone that lives only to make money and does not live to have a life and a purpose. Yes, we need money to survive, especially if you live in a Western society. Yes, we need money to buy things, to buy food, and to survive. But we also need mental health and strength to survive and to be happy. And that's something that's neglected a lot of times. And I myself neglected it a lot of times. And I still do. And then, I reach a point where I feel like I'm too weak and I can't continue doing what I'm doing. And I know in many cases it's something that's sitting in my head, but I also know that in many cases it's something that I don't allow myself to feel. I don't allow myself to feel the feelings that I should be feeling and to think the thoughts that I should be thinking. The moment that I allow myself to do that is the moment when I start feeling freer, released of all of my thoughts, and I feel like I can start once again and continue pursuing what I was pursuing. So my takeaway here is give yourself some time to really get to know yourself, because yes, everyone preaches we should love ourselves, but if you don't know yourself, how are you supposed to love yourself? Yes, we do love people in our life that maybe we are not as connected to. For example, family. Maybe, you don't really have a great relationship with your grandparents or your aunt, but in some kind of way you might still love them because they're kind of part of your family. But if you get into a relationship, for example, and if you fall in love with that person, you fall in love with the way that person is, their traits and the way they are, of course. That's what I just said. But how are we supposed to fall in love with ourselves if we don't give ourselves the time to get to know ourselves? What I decided to do myself now is to give myself time at least once a week where I really don't do anything else than be myself and don't work, don't talk to other people. It doesn't have to be long, it can be an hour a week, and I think every one of us can find that time. And just reflect upon everything, all your actions, all what you want to do, all what you love. do what you love in that 1 hour and get to know yourself better. And that's when you can start loving yourself. And when you look into the mirror and you tell yourself, I love myself, it's genuine and it's work. It's a working process, because at least I am the kind of person, I am easier loving other people, or I have it easier loving other people than loving myself. And I'm very hard on myself a lot of times. That I have people around me telling me like, hey, stop it. Don't be that hard on yourself. It's all good, but it's not easy. It's not easy, and I'm not saying it's gonna be an easy process, but you know, I want to do that myself, and I'm gonna start doing that myself because it's important to me, and I think it should be important to every one of us. And even if that message only reaches one person, that's more than enough, because that's the point of this. So that was it for my video. Thanks again for watching my video. I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.